Hello everybody, this is the updated video from my old video that I made of my element collection. I made that video about 5 months ago. I'm not going to be including the elements that I had in that video. If you want to see the other elements I have, you're going to have to go back to that video. But I'm going to include the ones that I've gotten since then. So, first of all, we have element 3, lithium. This is 1 gram of lithium under mineral oil. You can see it's quite oxidized, but if you look at the side pieces here, you can see it's still a little bit shiny on the sides. Lithium is very reactive. It has to be kept under mineral oil or else it will tarnish very easily. And it can explode on contact with water. So this is lithium metal, 1 gram. Up next, we have 15 milligrams of sodium metal. It's inside of this little bottle. It's a little microampule. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the meniscus where it meets the air. A little shiny bit. The sodium is a very nice sample. You can't really see it, but in the other microampules, it's a lot easier to see them. I plan on getting a bigger sample of sodium, but it's a pretty nice sample, element 11 sodium. Up next, we have element 12, magnesium. This is 10.3 grams in the form of a large rod. Right here. Magnesium is extremely light. This entire thing weighs 10.3 grams, and it's about the size of my hand. So it's very impressive how light this metal is, and it's used in all sorts of applications. It's fine in cold water. However, if you add it to hot water, it will violently react. Magnesium powder is what they use in flashbangs to make the flash part, and it's a very interesting metal just because of how insanely light it feels in hand. So that's magnesium metal, element 12. Up next, element 19, potassium. This is 15 milligrams of potassium metal that for some reason I can't open the bottle for. There we go. This is probably the most visible sample in a microampule. You can see the shiny metal in there. Very interesting. It's like sodium. It'll react with water vigorously. This is element 19, potassium. This is what's in your bananas, and there's more than this in one banana. There's more than this. But that is what's in your bananas, right there, that metal. That is element 19, potassium, pure potassium metal. Up next, we have element 28, nickel. This is 6.8 grams in a bottle in the form of 4 little pellets. Nickel is naturally a rosy, kind of golden pale metal. It's quite dense and it's quite shiny. It's also magnetic. There's not really that much to say about nickel. It's just a very interesting looking element. This is also very pure nickel. I believe 99.995% pure. Very, very nice nickel. Here we have element 31, gallium. This is only a gram of it, so there's not a lot, but you can see it in the bottom there. Gallium has a very low melting point, and if I were to hold this in my hands for long enough, it would melt. I've melted it before and then re-solidified it, but I really like this element. It's one of my favorites. It has a very high boiling point, despite its melting point only being about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Its boiling point is closer to 4,000, so a very impressive difference in those points, and I think it's a very interesting element. This is element 31, gallium, pure gallium metal, related to aluminum, by the way. Here we have 10 milligrams of rubidium in a microampule. This is a very interesting sample of the metal. Rubidium you cannot buy under mineral oil. You can buy potassium and sodium and lithium under mineral oil, but you can't really buy this one under mineral oil. It's that reactive. It has to be kept in argon under the glass of the ampoule. You can see it's a very shiny, silvery metal. You see it in there. And I think it's a very interesting sample. It's related to sodium, potassium, and lithium. However, it's a heavier, I forgot what the word was for it, but like a heavier part of the group. So here we have 10 grams of strontium. This is strontium metal. You can't really see it anymore. You can see here 10 grams strontium. It's vacuum sealed, and there's also oil in there. You can still kind of see the black of the metal in there. However, it's been covered in a coat of strontium oxide just because it's been sitting here for quite a while. It's one of my favorite elements, and I think it's very neat. I would love to get a sample in like an ampule or something like that, but at the moment I can't really afford that. But yeah, this is strontium metal, element 38. Related to calcium, by the way. Next up, we have element 42, molybdenum. This is a 10.23 gram cube of molybdenum metal. Molybdenum is added to steel to make it stronger as an alloying agent. It's quite interesting. This is a 1 centimeter cube, 1 cubic centimeter. Fits on my thumb. Not too expensive. They're a very nice sample to have. It's machined very nicely, very sharp edges. And this is element 42, molybdenum, related to chromium and tungsten. Up next, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this one. Maybe. Oh, you can see it in there. That little hair-like thing in there, that is a rhodium wire. This is, believe it or not, $20 worth of rhodium, because rhodium is the most expensive precious metal. I think at one point it went for over $10,000 an ounce. It is very expensive, and they use it in catalytic converters, and that's why catalytic converters get stolen. That's one of the reasons, because this metal is in there. There is a rhodium wire in there, but a hair thickness, and it's a very interesting sample. However, I would love to get a gram pellet. It's just that it's about $350 at the moment, which is a little bit outside of my budget right now. Up next, we have a toxic metal. This is element 48, cadmium. Cadmium is related to zinc and mercury, and it's stored in this thing. I put tape over the lid to prevent it from opening and the cadmium getting out, but cadmium is a very toxic metal. It's very shiny. It's a silvery color. This is 10 grams of it. I love the brick-like chunks that it comes in. It just looks nice, but cadmium metal is extremely toxic and extremely dangerous. It is not recommended to get it on your skin, nor is it recommended to eat it, because its toxicity cannot be understated. This is 10 grams of cadmium metal. Pure cadmium, 99.9%. Okay, up next after cadmium, we have tin, but not just any tin. This is alpha tin. Now, to explain the difference between alpha and beta tin, I have to go a little bit into, like, atomic chemistry, like crystal structures, but basically, beta tin normally is, like, they form these, like, rectangular prism crystal structures, like, 6 tin atoms form, or 8 tin atoms, sorry, would form a rectangular prism and in a repeating pattern. That's beta tin. But if you cool tin down below, I think, like 65 Fahrenheit, like put tin in your fridge, it'll start to expand and turn into this kind. This is alpha tin. Alpha tin has a diamond cubic crystal structure, the same crystal structure that, well, obviously diamonds have, and also that silicon has, and germanium. It is pretty interesting, and normally you could only have it below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, because above that it turns back into beta tin. However, it's stabilized with a tiny, tiny bit of germanium to make it stable at room temperature. This is alpha tin. I think if I did heat it up enough, it would turn back into beta tin, like the shiny normal tin. But at the moment, this acts less like a metal that's malleable and more like a brittle metalloid, like silicon or, like I said, germanium, maybe antimony, tellurium, that kind of thing. That is element 50 tin. So up next is probably my favorite element of my collection. This is 1 gram of cesium metal in an ampule. You see just how beautiful it is. You can see those crystals in there. If I were to hold it in my hand for long enough, it would melt. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to hold it in my hands while it melts and talk to you about it. Cesium is extremely reactive. In fact, if I were to let it out in the air, it would immediately catch on fire and burn. It's a very interesting metal. However, it's definitely not the safest thing to have. So I do have to be very careful with it. But with enough time, it should melt. It is melted. You can see it in there, the liquid cesium. It's just so beautiful. You can see it's a little bit wetted on the glass. However, that is liquid cesium there. And if I were to leave it to cool for a second here, laying on its side, while I'm still talking about it, here, I'm going to try to get a focus on it. There we go. I'm going to leave it sitting there for a moment and let it partially cool, see if I can make some crystals. If not, it's okay. It's a little bit hard to make crystals. You got to time it just right. But if you can freeze it only partially and leave the liquid there, you can make crystals. It's very cool. This is 1 gram of 99.99% pure cesium. Got it from Luciteria. This costs about $60, I believe. It's a very nice sample. If you're gonna go for cesium, don't go for the 100 milligram sample. Go for the 1 gram sample. Trust me, it's so worth it. So nice. There we go. I made crystals. There we go. If it would focus, please, please, please. There we go. I made some crystals. That is very nice. I'm gonna put it back in here now, but that is one of my favorite elements. Probably my favorite. That is 1 gram of pure cesium metal. Up next, we get to the lanthanides. I actually didn't have any lanthanides in my last video, but now I do. This is 10 grams of lanthanum metal. I don't have a lot of lanthanides right now. I plan on getting more, but this is 10 grams lanthanum metal. It comes vacuum sealed with a little bit of oil. You can see the metal in there. That little streak of like rocks in there, that's the metal. It's got a little bit of white lanthanum oxide on it, but other than that, it's still a nice pristine sample. It's not shiny or anything, but still quite nice. That is 10 grams of lanthanum metal. Very beautiful, very cheap, only about $8, and I love it. Just love it. Got it from JD Chemist website. Up next, also from JD Chemist website, is 1 gram of europium metal under mineral oil. It's very, looks almost like pistachios a little bit. It's been oxidized quite heavily. This used to, believe it or not, be a shiny metal, but like I said, it got very oxidized over time. I'm getting a new sample in the form of a ampule containing 250 milligrams. It's like a crystal of it. That will be very nice. I'll be showing that when it comes in. I'll be doing an unboxing, by the way. But that is 1 gram of europium metal. Up next, this is 10 grams of holmium metal. Holmium is the most magnetic metal, like, on the periodic table, the most ferromagnetic metal. But only when you cool it down. You have to get it down to an extremely low temperature, like cryogenic levels, like 19 degrees Kelvin, I think, or 19, not 19 degrees, just 19 Kelvin. It's very interesting. You can see how nice and pretty all the little chunks of metal are. I think it's one of my favorite elements. Just think it's very beautiful and very magnetic, very interesting metal. This is element 67, holmium. After that, we come out of the lanthanides, and we have element 74, tungsten. Now, I didn't have a pure sample of tungsten last time. I only had a thoriated tungsten rod, or like anode, and this is monocrystalline tungsten. Monocrystalline tungsten is really quite interesting. Basically, what it is they would take a melt of tungsten, and they would grow a crystal of it, and instead of it being sintered together from powder, like most tungsten samples are, where it's just a bunch of powder that's been pressed together, this is one solid crystal of tungsten, which is very cool to me. You can see the surface where it's been cut. There. Quite interesting, really quite interesting. The rib surface makes it really nice. This weighs, okay, remember the magnesium rod from earlier? This weighs more than twice as much as this does. This little piece weighs more than twice as much as this big rod of magnesium does, which I really find quite interesting to me. It's a very interesting metal. I love it. Quite beautiful, quite heavy. That's 24.7 grams of element 74 tungsten. Up next, we have an element that I really wanted, and I now have. This is 1 gram of rhenium metal in an ampule. Now, the ampule is quite dirty. You can't really see in there very well, but you can see it's sintered. You can see like that texture on the side there. Don't know if you can really see it. Let me focus there. But that is a 1 gram chunk of rhenium metal in an ampule. Actually, 1.005 grams. But this is element 75 rhenium, atomic weight 186.207. Very interesting. This is the only sample that I've ever gotten off of eBay. This was like $20 on eBay. Very nice sample. Rhenium is one of my favorite elements. I just love it. So interesting, and it's used in jet engine manufacturing. I think the F-22 Raptor uses it in its engines because of the high temperature resisting alloys it can make. It's one of the rarest elements in the Earth's crust, and I think it was actually the last stable element to be discovered. You know, the last non-radioactive element discovered. It was discovered in like the 1920s. But that is a 1 gram chunk of rhenium metal in an ampule. Alright, after that, we come to our second to last element in this updated collection. This is 1 gram of thallium metal. Now, I know I have uranium and cadmium and mercury and all that, but this is by far the deadliest sample I have. This is only a gram, However, this is enough to kill me if I ate it. It's enough to kill me twice over. This metal is so deadly and toxic that it's been used as a poison for hundreds of years. Now, the way it poisons you, I believe, is that it mimics potassium in your body, and basically your cells kind of die of potassium deficiency, causing apoptosis, and you eventually die. It's a very painful death to have. You vomit blood, your hair falls out, you get blurry vision, double vision, everything, and then you die. It's very dangerous. I will not eat it for obvious reasons, but there is a cure. Good news is there's a cure, a very easy cure. It's called Prussian blue, and it's like its name suggests, like a blue powder. You just eat that and it cures you. But this is a very deadly element. It's probably the most dangerous one I have. This is 1 gram. However, I am getting 10 more grams in the mail. In a bottle. That will be pretty cool. That's from Luciteria, by the way. This is about $15 worth. So quite expensive element. But that's shiny thallium metal. It's kept under mineral oil because it will oxidize readily in the air. But it's related to aluminum and gallium. The elements. That's pretty cool. Alright, up next, and finally, the least. Oh, not the least. Last but not least, sorry. This is a gram of bismuth metal. Or 10 grams, sorry. 10 grams of 99.99% pure bismuth metal from Luciteria Science. This is a rose gold color metal. I think I'm going to open this so you guys can see in there. You can see all that beautiful bismuth metal in there. If I close it and shake it up so you can see it a little bit. Yeah, like that. There we go. That's more like it. You can see that beautiful shiny bismuth metal in there. Bismuth is actually radioactive, fun fact. However, its radiation, like its half-life is so long, it's pretty much neglectfully radioactive. Like, it's a very, very big number. Just look up bismuth 209's half-life. Huge number. This is very unlikely to ever kill me with radiation. I think this sample right here probably gives off about 3 particles of radiation a day. So I don't have to really worry about it, but this is 10 grams of pure bismuth metal. So that's the last element in my collection. I do have some news. I'm gonna start doing some unboxings. I'm gonna start uploading again. I know it's been a really long time. It's been like 4 months, but I am gonna start uploading finally. I think it's really interesting to have all these elements in my collection, and I'm very happy that I've gotten all these. Sorry it's been so long, and I'm gonna start updating you guys more often, start doing some unboxings. I hopefully have 2 packages coming in tomorrow. Both of them from Luciteria. One of them was supposed to be here yesterday, but it got delayed. But hopefully they'll both be here by tomorrow. One of them contains a 250 milligram europium crystal and an ampule. That's going to be really nice, a shiny crystal, finally, instead of, you know, this mess in here. If it would focus. Instead of this kind of gross mess in here, we're going to get a nice ampule. And I'm also getting 10 grams of thallium in one of the packages, but in the other package, I'm getting 30 grams of lead in a, I think, 15 by 100 millimeter ampule, so like about that long maybe. So a relatively large ampule. Very excited for that, but can't wait. I'm going to have so many more elements in my collection. I'm going to start collecting again. I'm going to start putting in more effort into the channel, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. I also have an order from Onyxmet coming in, believe it or not, in Poland. It's coming all the way from Poland. It's going to be a few weeks, maybe. It could, usually within 10 days, the guy emailed. He said it should be here within 10 days. It could take up to 3 weeks, though. So, I don't know. But I'll give you an unboxing when I get it. I believe it contains 1 gram of europium chloride, 1 gram of lithium chloride, and 10 grams of iodine pentoxide. So we're going to actually start collecting chemicals, not just elements now, which is going to be pretty neat. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'm going to start updating this channel more often. I'm going to start doing unboxings instead of doing these big old element collection updates. I'm going to eventually do a full collection update one day, but this is just a little catch-up, so that way we know where we are. I might actually start making some educational content on the channel, like talking more in-depth about the elements with a script and everything, but this entire video was unscripted, so hopefully it went okay. Thank you to you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. And if you ever wanted to collect some elements, here are 3 of the best sources. Luciteria prices can be a little bit expensive, but they have a huge variety. They're based in the United States, and they ship out pretty fast. Probably the best one overall, JD Chemist website. Not as big a variety as the other two that I'm talking about right now, so there's gonna be 3 in total, but very good prices and ships incredibly fast, especially if you live on the East Coast, because Luciteria ships from the West Coast. So if you live on the West Coast, it's gonna be a little bit faster. But yeah, JD Chemist, he literally, like, I ordered one time at like midnight about, and he got the package out in the mail by 4 a.m. the next morning, which is crazy. Like, in 4 hours it was out in the mail, which I really like. But after that, we have Onyxmet. Just ordered from them. I don't really know because I haven't received my packages, so I can't really talk about, like, their quality and everything like that. But I know that they have very helpful customer service. Their prices are pretty much dirt cheap. I guess the only problem, if you're in the United States at least, is that they have international shipping, which means it takes a little bit, but you're eventually going to get your package. And the prices are dirt cheap. I mean, like, some of those chemicals on there, I'm surprised they even have them that cheap. Like, the iodine pentoxide was only, like, $6, $6 US, which is crazy, and €5. So, yeah, thank you to you guys for watching, and I hope you'll have a good rest of your day, and goodbye. I'll keep updating this channel eventually.